Peace and love. Imara Ifawi here, coming to you from beautiful Costa Rica on So Sovereign YouTube. We are here today to talk about schooling, alternative schooling, something that I am a specialist in. I am living in Costa Rica with my two children. We adopt a kind of hybrid learning format. So I've always kind of hybridized. It's always either been homeschooling with, a lot of just real life unschooling, going out and doing things in the world and just living, as John Holt would have called it. Or, right now we're doing a little bit of some, online stuff combined with just a lot of homeschooling and world schooling. So I have two children. One is 17 and she's already finished high school, according to, what it takes to get a diploma. She's 17 and I have a 10-year-old. And so for the last, I would say, since my daughter was about 2, so 15 years or so, I've been, actively engaged in trying to find a happy medium, for us in terms of their education. I have always been a traveler, and so by the time my daughter was of age, when she was about 2, we started traveling. We left, we took off to Hawaii, and we went on a journey of just living deep in nature in Hawaii, living on volcanoes, living in bamboo forests. I mean, it was a really amazing experience. And at that time, there wasn't really a name. People didn't have, the movement wasn't as strong as it is now in terms of people doing the radical unschooling and the world schooling and all that. So there weren't a lot of terms that people were using at that time, even though the term unschooling had been coined, I think, in the 70s by John Holt. And then they had the deschooling movement and all that. But for me, it was just a sense of, wanting something more expansive for my children. I was someone who was an honor student and did a lot of education. I have a master's in alternative medicine. I've gone to Chinese medicine school. I've, pursued various degrees. I have, bachelor's from Rutgers University. So I've done a lot of education. And so I know that path. I also was, very engaged in school as a young person. So it's like I know the path of education. So far, I didn't take a traditional route in terms of pursuing career or any kind of corporate career. But I have done that, and I wouldn't want to keep that from my children if they felt like that was something they wanted to pursue. But at the same time, I just always felt like there was additional layers of the person that needed to be addressed, and that school just was not going to be able to do that. You bring the children at god awful, very early times for most children, given that a lot of children up into a certain age are needing 12 hours sleep at night. So you're getting them up, you're bringing them in groggy to this environment, closed-in environment. These days, they barely even give the children recess or time to go outside and breathe some fresh air. They're sitting up in the AC or the heater all day, with some person talking at them, not even really working with them, but just talking at them, putting worksheets in their face, putting them under pressure to do tests and standardized tests. I mean, it's all just very anti the child, as far as I'm concerned. It's all just not aligned with, the incredible ability that children have to learn, to take in from their environment, to grow. And so yeah, I mean, I really just got off on this journey just from an intuitive, there's got to be something more. And as we grew, we went through different phases. At points, sometimes I would put my children in school, so they could try that out, see how they thrive with that. Both of my children are very flexible. They do well, in whatever environment I put them in. But I would say the vast majority of their learning and schooling has been by way of, living in other cultures, traveling, and being absorbed in various immersions. So this could include Buenos días. Estoy bien, gracias. ¿Y usted? And my sweet landlord here at the cacao farm that we're living on in Costa Rica. So yeah. So yeah, I have them do all kinds of things. We were living in Brazil for about 14 months, just here recently. We've only been in Costa Rica for a couple of months. So in Brazil was really important to me that, they did their online stuff and that doesn't take up a bulk of their day or anything. But I like to get the balance. I want them to have their basics. And my daughter's done now, but my son, making sure he has his basic skills and can write and can do things. But also, I keep my son in martial arts. So in Brazil, he studied 4 different martial arts: jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, his favorite that he's been studying, karate, and capoeira regularly. So it was like constantly going to classes. My daughter, I put her in Brazilian music, Brazilian bass class with an amazing bassist in Bahia where we were living. So she got some hands-on skills as a bass guitar player in, the Brazilian sound, MPB, bossa nova, samba, and everything. So she has an ear for that music now. She knows how to play it some, and if she ever wanted to integrate it in anything she was doing, that's something she could pull from now. It's not foreign for her. We did a lot of immersions, going out in the bush with friends, people that we'd met, to learn about the environment there. We did so much stuff. Bahia has a ton of culture, particularly Afro, indigenous culture. So we did a lot of immersions in some of those realities, going into the quilombos in the area, which are the the escaped slaves, that escaped from, whatever plantation or senzalas they were on during that time up until 1888. So a lot of them live on land in the area, and we were able to combine and connect with these communities and, do capoeira, dance, integrate into the community, and just really learn the culture. My children studied Portuguese, so they were both taking Portuguese classes regularly that I, got them involved in so that they could at least try to pick up the language. It wasn't easy. Brazilians are not the friendliest, especially if you don't speak their language, and especially for children, it was just socially not very good, not where we were at, but they tried. And so just saying all that to say that along with this whole idea of unschooling, there can be some other things that you bring in, such as maybe an online time for learning or something just simple that's not stressful, that's not overwhelming, that still gives the children support in terms of basic stuff, but then also, focusing on the unschooling, the living, allowing them to learn how to cook different things and different cultural foods, allowing them to kind of choose the learning style, because the unschooling movement is all about choosing the learning style. It's about really, really tapping into, or allowing the child to tap into and to lead their own learning process. So if my daughter tells me, Mom, I want to pursue, because she likes to work out a lot, I want to pursue personal training, learning more about the body in that way, and how to help people to become more fit. It's up to me to try to do what I can to support her in that process, because it's youth and child led. So, you really want them to have to say in what they're doing to a high degree, because that's what they're going to be able to pour their passion and their energy into and get the most out of, and then bring it back to the world, in whatever expertise they develop around it. So that's the child-led learning that unschooling is all about. So you have a lot of options. I mean, for sure, it's not always an easy process. Like I said, 15 years of this, and there's been a lot of bumps. I mean, it can get really tricky socially, particularly with world schooling, where you're traveling, you're going to live in different countries, different places. It can get really tricky because it's hard for them to establish those deep, long-term connections that you want to see your children have, Sometimes I feel like I've shorted them on that just based upon this kind of mobile lifestyle. And we're not always mobile. So a lot of times we'll root down, like sometimes we'll root in the Virgin Islands, which is where our community really is, just because, it's somewhere that I'm very comfortable. I know a lot of people. And so, at times we will be still, but a lot of times there's a certain mobility to our lifestyle, and so it's hard for them to develop the relationships that you would want to see your children have. So, that can be considered a one of the, detractors from the lifestyle, from the world schooling lifestyle. But for me, because the world we live in is just so strange in general right now, especially post the fiasco of the last couple of years, I think it's important that, we explore different vibes and different energy and really just immerse ourselves in nature and really focus on cultivating, internally more and within our family. Yes, it's good to socialize, but because so many people are overexposed to so many things, even socializing is not easy for children these days. My children are a bit sheltered. They're not commercial. Just the other day, my son asked me who's Beyonce. He didn't even know who she was. So my children, I'm not trying to raise children that are totally out of it in another world altogether. I think balance is good. But saying all that to say, because of the way they've been raised, they're not going to fit with every group of people. And so even encouraging socialization is still going to be awkward in a certain way, especially in places like the U.S. where they're from and all the kids are into trap music and, just horrible stuff, really. So, all of these things can be kind of challenging. So I had decided, to prioritize travel, connecting with different cultures, being away from typical traditional, especially African American culture, which is just toxic mostly. And then, getting them to go out and see and experience different parts of the world because, brown people are not the same everywhere. I mean, when we were in Bahia in Brazil, I mean, they weren't the nicest and the friendliest, but they, certainly, have a nice, rich culture that doesn't have to necessarily have to do with trapping and drug dealing and doing all kinds of filth. I mean? They have like a nice culture. They got to be exposed to brown people who are living, more connected to nature, fishermen and agriculturalists and herbalists and people and seeing that as opposed to just this constant reinforcement of commercial Western controlled, media controlled, manifestation of who we are, which is not who we are. That's not us. And the way a lot of people are living, especially in the States, that's not us. That's manipulated stuff. That's media induced. And so yeah, my children are different in that way. So socialization isn't really that easy for them in general just because of who they are and how they are. But yeah, so these are some of the things to think about if you're considering a lifestyle, an alternative lifestyle of education that involves travel or involves just literally putting the curriculums down altogether and just going for it, allowing your children to live, allowing them to let you know what they want to do, allowing them to express to you, what motivates them, and for you to show them or get them somewhere where they can pursue those things. If you're considering any of those things, I just say it has, they have their good and not so great points, but at the end of the day, it's up to you, and I feel like parents should choose. It's your choice how you want to see your child educated. It's not someone else to be telling you your child needs to be taking bubble tests, hundreds of questions of just absolute nonsense every year because of what? Standardized testing for what? What's the point? Are they going to learn? Are they going to grow from that? It's nothing. It's a waste of their own mental energy. They actually have to study for these tests. It's a waste of time. And so a lot of this stuff that we get away from with the radical unschooling and the world schooling and all of that. And so if you have any questions, I do offer a consultation for families that are planning to travel abroad, and the unschooling and schooling options and stuff is a part of that. So if you have any questions or you're interested in booking a consultation, you can just hit me up, imaraifawuyi@gmail.com. Just contact me and we'll set it up. But yeah, that's my global nomad relocation consultation, and we go ahead and we envision, the lifestyle you want to create, with your family, And I even do a PDF where I'll write it up for you and send it to you in terms of everything we go over with some additional resources in it. And it's just a great way to kind of get started with a plan for yourself to make a shift and to be able to, if travel is what you want to do, or if you just want some support, kind of navigating, breaking through some of the mental blocks around letting go with the whole schooling thing and getting into homeschooling or getting into unschooling. I can support in those ways. I've been through it. I've done it over and over again. And yeah, that's what we do. So yeah, coming to you from Costa Rica. Yes, connect with me. I'll write my email down below and let's go. Y'all can do this. Have a blessed day. Peace and love.